two ways in which we really see kind of different factors being unifying forces to bring teams together as we look at enrolling them in some of these consultative or operational methodologies that we've applied for clients. So number one, we always say if you're not using data, you're either lucky or you're wrong. And I think from a measurement and just pure play insights point of view, that can be a unifying force between different teams. When you have indisputable evidence or facts to essentially back up a viewpoint or a stance, and important to note that some of that measurement or data that you're bringing into the mix doesn't even necessarily need to be about the output or the performance of an output. It can be operational KPI. So for example, if we understand that a specific working group, let's say it's the content or the creative team, have room to improve, speed to market around the ability to ship content effectively, efficiently. We can use those operational insights and KPIs as a measure of how and where there's room to fill a potential gap in the operations of the workflows that we have. So having some of those operational KPIs from a measurement lens, but also then having an understanding of, well, what's working in what we put out there creatively, the performance of those specific assets, content pieces, bring kind of both together when we're having a conversation around any operational changes that we're trying to push can be a unifying force and bring kind of disparate teams, in particular, I think more of the creative teams with the delivery and the insights team together, because then we're all speaking the same language and looking at the same set of facts versus coming at it all from a very subjective view that might be, naturally skewed to what you care a little bit more about in each of your own operating teams. And then the other piece too on content, Sean mentioned earlier that content really plays a role in all Marcom activities because it can be anything and everything. We find that that's also a bit of a unifying force as well. Certainly on the client's end, where every working group needs content, whether it's sales, HR, even thinking about your own employer brand, that's all content materials that we're putting out there. So when we kind of contextualize some of the operational opportunities, even internally for our team through the lens of, okay, well, the content and the output needs to serve cross-functional stakeholders. So how can we better work together to identify those joint outcomes that each team is trying to achieve? That way, when we're designing anything for the team, or if one team is servicing another team internally, they fundamentally understand what, say, the creative department cares about. What are their KPIs that keep them up at night? And how can we better, in service of that, collaborate so that we're, jointly achieving our broader business outcomes? And that's very much a mentality that we take into our consultative work when it comes to improving client operations as well. Just helping them understand and noting that when we truly collaborate, it means that you really understand what your other stakeholders' KPIs are. You're not just collaborating with them, I use quotation marks, to, check a box of, okay, I understand what your priorities are, but I'm going to go away and do my own thing now and hope that it matches up to what you want.